My whole family got reincarnated. In the previous life, my dad, my mom, my older brother, and my younger brother all pampered the adopted daughter. After they got reincarnated, the adopted daughter asked my dad for a big house, but my dad made me live there instead. The adopted daughter wanted my book-smart brother to tutor her, but my brother stuck to me, begging to tutor me. The adopted daughter wanted my super popular older brother to visit her school, but my older brother came to see me instead. The adopted daughter wanted my mom's handmade diamond necklace, but my mom put the necklace on me. Emily, how could you wreck your sister's room like this? You know it's wrong, right? My mom pointed at the wall splattered with red paint and marked with strange symbols, scolding me. The adopted daughter, Mia, sobbed, "Mom, don't blame Emily. I shouldn't stay in this house anymore. Emily is your biological daughter. No matter how nice I am to her, she'll hate me. She probably made the room look so scary just to vent. I'll move out today. You guys act like you never adopted me. When I make money, I'll come back and take care of you and Dad." Tears welled up in her wide eyes, looking ever so pitiful and innocent. Pretending to pack, she reached for her luggage. My mom quickly went to console her. From the living room came a young, irritated, and cold voice, "Let Emily move to a dorm. If she can't handle it, get her an apartment near the school." Ever since she came back, we haven't had any peace. It was my brother, Jack. After speaking, he went to his study to play games. My mom frowned, thought for a few minutes, and tiredly and helplessly said, "Emily, how about you move out for a while? The high-end apartments near the school are all owned by our company. I'll have someone show you a renovated one, and you can take a maid with you." Seeing my mom trying to throw me out, Mia's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. In reality, Mia herself had splashed the red paint and drawn the spooky symbols in her room. She did this to frame me and get me kicked out. For the past 6 months since I came back, she almost did stuff like this daily. Not just at home, at school, Mia's cronies bullied me, and no one cared. In my previous life, I spent all my energy fighting her, resisting, trying to please my family. It led to poor grades and a tragic end. Being reincarnated, I decided I didn't need my family anymore. Even if my dad is a company chairman, my mom a top jewelry designer, my older brother a superstar, and my younger brother a top student, I don't want them anymore. Thinking I was silent because I was sad, my mom softened her tone, "You can check out the apartment. If you're not happy with any, you can come back." I interrupted curtly, "I'll move." My mom was stunned, not expecting me to agree so quickly. After all, for the past 6 months, I had been trying hard to fit in this family, never mentioning moving out. Even during fights with Mia, I didn't bother to explain myself anymore. Even if I did, my mom and Jack wouldn't believe Mia painted her walls to look like a horror movie. Straight to my room, I packed my stuff I had brought from the orphanage. As I was packing, my room door opened. It was my dad, Jack. He's a workaholic, always traveling. In my last life, I could count the times I saw him on one hand. I still remember that Christmas night, when the whole family gathered. Mia clung to me, calling me Emily sweetly in front of everyone. But behind my back, she pushed me into the pool. She jumped in after, pretending to rescue me, but screamed even louder than I did, drawing everyone's attention to save her first, leaving me nearly drowned the day I was brought back. My straightforward nature led to me pointing at her after being saved, telling Jack she pushed me. Mia cried, playing the victim and insinuating I couldn't tolerate her and wanted her out. I thought Jack, who managed a huge company, would see through her act and stand up for me. However, Jack coldly stared at me, sternly asking for evidence, and said I was too young to be so intolerant. He didn't bother listening to my defense further, leaving my mom to handle it. Mom, not caring about right or wrong, just played the peacemaker, and in the end, nothing came of it. After this, no matter what happened, even if Mia's minions stripped me and humiliated me at school, I never said a word to my dad again. When Dad walked in now, I thought he'd come to scold me after hearing Mia's side. I didn't even look at him, packing faster. But instead of scolding, he strode over and hugged me tightly. He held me so tight, his voice pained and hoarse, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, my daughter. It's my fault. He cried, his shoulders shaking, completely unlike his usual untouchable, stern self. Mom, Mia, and the housekeeper rushed in, all shocked by the scene. I wondered if hearing about me moving out finally sparked some fatherly concern in him, feeling I was wronged, making him act out of character to stop me. But whether he tried to stop me or not, I had already decided not to stay in this house anymore. With painful memories from my past life, I wouldn't be swayed by family affection this time. I pushed him away coldly, grabbed my packed bag, and walked out. Emily, where are you going? Dad, having calmed down a bit, grabbed me anxiously. I'm moving out. I know, Emily, I know this house has made you unhappy. Don't worry, with Dad here, you won't suffer anymore. My mom and Mia were about to speak, but the housekeeper hurriedly defended Mia. Jack, go see Mia's room. Emily splashed red paint all over the walls and drew bloody symbols. Dad frowned. I thought he'd scold me harshly like in the last life, and my heart tensed. But Dad gently stroked my head. This is Emily's home. Everything is Emily's. A messed up wall is nothing. If it makes her happy, she can tear down the whole house. The other 3 people reacted just like I did. We couldn't believe it. My dad turned his head to look at Mia and my mom. His eyes turned stern, and his face instantly cold as ice. Just because of this, you want to kick my Emily out? We were all frozen, still in disbelief. We never imagined my dad would protect me like this. Mia's eyes turned red immediately, and she started her Oscar-worthy performance like she did in front of my mom before. Tears streamed down her face as she sobbed. Dad, Mom didn't kick Emily out. None of us did. Emily drew something really scary on my wall, and Mom just told her not to do it again. She wanted to leave by herself. Mom couldn't stop her. Seeing that I was silent, was this princess treating me like a mute? Blaming me again? I couldn't take it anymore and spoke up. Whether you believe it or not, it wasn't me who messed up the wall. No sooner had I spoken, my dad immediately added, I believe her. The certainty in his voice was unshakable. Mia, in the middle of her performance, was stunned into silence, staring at my dad in shock. I was dumbfounded too. My mom apparently didn't believe it either. Have you seen how awful Emily made Mia's wall? Didn't you hear what Emily said? She said she didn't do it. How could you just blindly assume it was Emily without asking? Is this how you mother your children? My dad's stern rebuke left my mom speechless. Then he looked around and solemnly said, I'll get to the bottom of who messed up the wall. Mia panicked. It was obvious she didn't expect Dad, who never meddled in household affairs, to investigate such a small matter. She hurriedly left the room to prepare. Eventually, the blame for the damaged wall fell on a helper named Lily. Apparently, Lily had secretly tried on Mia's new dress, and when the housekeeper caught her and scolded her, she held a grudge. Out of spite, she had messed up Mia's wall and then fled. My dad harshly scolded my mom. She felt a little guilty but not much, as her heart always leaned towards Mia. Mia tearfully and hypocritically apologized to me. Sorry, Emily. I was just scared. I know you haven't really liked me, so I believed the helpers and thought you did it. My mom backed her up. Emily, your sister didn't mean to, so don't be upset. My dad didn't hold back. Mia, are you implying that Emily is intolerant? Is this what you call an apology? If you're going to apologize, do it properly. Don't insult my daughter. Mia went stiff as a rock. It took her a while to respond, crying louder, Dad, I'm your daughter too. How can you say that to me? My mom hugged her, heartbroken. What's gotten into you today? How can you hurt Mia's feelings like this? Mia continued her act. It's my fault. I'm the one who made Dad angry and disrupted the home. I'll just move out. Mom, don't stop me. My mom couldn't bear to see her go, hugging her tighter, about to comfort her. My dad cut in sharply. In that case, Mia, go pack your things and move out now. Mia was stunned again, not expecting that. My dad ordered the housekeeper, pack Mia's belongings and have a driver take her to the school dorm. Seeing that my dad was serious, Mia panicked and clung to my mom. Mom, I can't bear to leave you." My mom frowned deeply. "Mia has never lived outside." My dad sternly said, "Keep quiet. It's because you spoil her and don't distinguish right from wrong that the household is in chaos. If you say one more word in her defense, you can move out too." When my dad got angry, my mom dared not plead anymore. After all, the fact that Mia falsely accused me was right there for everyone to see. My mom glared at my dad bitterly, then tried to console Mia. "Just stay out for a while. I'll get you a nice place to live in. You'll be comfortable." Mia obediently and tearfully agreed, but her eyes looked at me like a venomous snake. At the breakfast table, I had an exceptionally lavish spread. Ever since Mia found out I loved cookies, the chef never made them for me again. Now, all the servants, who used to treat me with disregard and disdain, were suddenly very respectful. Since this morning, when my dad made an example out of someone in front of everyone, the housekeeper had been preparing Mia's things. Not just packing her clothes but also selecting the best chef, 2 drivers, 2 security guards, 4 helpers, 5 luxury cars, and more, all to serve Mia. When my dad saw this, he was furious and asked the housekeeper who told her to prepare so much. The housekeeper, relying on her seniority, said she raised Mia herself and was afraid Mia would suffer outside, so she prepared these things. My dad was livid. "She's going to study, not to enjoy herself. And since when did you start making decisions in this house?" He confiscated everything the housekeeper prepared for Mia and then, with a wave of his hand, fired the housekeeper. When her pleas for mercy went unanswered, she began wailing, accusing my dad of being heartless. My dad had the security guards throw her out. The housekeeper had worked in our home for over a decade, yet my dad fired her in a heartbeat. With her as an example, everyone in the house quickly understood that things had changed. From then on, they dared not show me any disrespect. Not only were they respectful, but some even suggested to my dad that once Mia was gone, we could renovate her room, the biggest, brightest, most luxurious room in the house, even the walk-in closet was over 200 square feet, and give it to me. My dad was happy when he heard it. He agreed readily and even gave the suck-up a bonus. Seeing this, the other servants started trying to be nice to me too. I didn't know why my dad suddenly changed, but since he was willing to give, why not take it? If he went back to being his old grumpy self, I'd just cut ties and leave with my bags. No rush. Take things as they come. Enjoy first, worry later. That night, Mia stayed in her room and didn't come out for breakfast. I was eating mine when my dad came over. He asked if I wanted anything else. If I did, he'd have someone make it or buy it. I was satisfied with the cookies and shook my head. My mom came over too, gave me a cold look, and whispered to my dad, "You went too far with Mia yesterday. She cried all night. Her eyes are swollen like peaches. It breaks my heart." My dad put a bowl of soup in front of me and told me to eat slowly. Then he frowned and told my mom, "You need to understand something. Emily is our real daughter. She has our blood. I know Mia was raised by us, and you care more for her than Emily. I don't expect you to love Emily completely, but at least don't favor one over the other. I don't care about anything else right now. I just want to make it up to my daughter and protect her so she won't be bullied, so she can have a happy life." I looked up at my mom. Her face looked a bit unnatural. But soon she was back to normal, defending herself. "How have I been favoring one over the other? All the kids get the same allowance every month." Then she changed the subject. "Fine, ignore Mia if you want, but you can't ignore your son. Jack went to his room after dinner last night and hasn't come out since." My dad, annoyed, said, "Aren't you his mother? You check on Jack. I'm staying with my daughter for breakfast." After breakfast, my dad got up, saying he'd drive me to school himself. Mia, who hadn't shown up yet, came out of her room. She was dragging a suitcase, her face pale with tear stains, looking pitiful. My mom rushed over, ordered the servants to take Mia's suitcase, and asked Mia worriedly if she wanted to eat or drink anything. Mia softly said no, raising her head. Tears were about to fall again. Until she saw my dad pull out a no-limit black card from his wallet. Her tears immediately stopped. She bashfully smiled and said in a sweet voice, "Daddy, my allowance is enough, but since it's from you, I'll accept it." "Thank you, Daddy. I'll spend it wisely." She shyly reached out for the black card from my dad's hand. But my dad handed the card to me instead. "Emily, you use this." Mia was shocked and then broke down, shouting in her usual sweet voice, "Dad?" My dad frowned. "Didn't you say your allowance was enough? If you have enough, you don't need a card." After my dad's series of actions, my mom was more composed than Mia but still didn't agree with him. She said, "Emily has never used such a card, and she's still a student. She doesn't need it." My dad insisted on giving me the black card, precisely because she's never used one. She needs to learn. Emily is 17. She needs money for study materials, clothes, bags, watches, hair accessories. They all cost money. She needs it. Mia stared at the black card in my hand, her eyes filled with jealousy. I saw her fists trembling with anger, and I couldn't help but feel a bit pleased. So, I obediently accepted the card. My dad wanted to drive me to school himself. Mia's face turned uglier, especially when she looked at me, her eyes filled with malice. As we were about to get in the car, my mom suddenly cried out from inside the villa, Jack, what's wrong? Wake up, don't scare me." Jack had fainted in his sleep. My dad couldn't leave, so he had the oldest driver take me. Mia left first in another car. I asked the driver to drop me at a specific bank. At the bank, I showed the card my dad gave me and received top VIP treatment. In less than 10 minutes, I got $5,000 in cash and put it in my backpack. Back in the car, I found Calvin's phone number in the classmate directory. I called him. Calvin was a school bully, fought fiercely, even worse than the ones who bullied me. So, at school, everyone feared Calvin. When I first transferred, Calvin helped me once when he saw me getting bullied. After that, those people didn't dare bully me in front of Calvin but were harsher in the girls' restroom. To avoid visible injuries, they would use needles, kick and punch my stomach. They put dead mice in my backpack, poured blood on my desk, and didn't stop. I told my family that I was being bullied, but they were busy. Besides, they couldn't imagine school bullying being deadly. None of them took it seriously. After the retaliatory bullying, I didn't dare to ask Calvin for help. But in this life, I have to protect myself. I called Calvin. "This is Emily. I want to hire you as my bodyguard. Wait for me at the school gate. I'll give you $1,000. Calvin needed money. He wore the same school uniform until it had holes. I was right, he needed money and agreed quickly. I also asked, "If the bully is a girl, will you hit girls? Will you go into the girls' restroom?" Calvin laughed mischievously. "If you say hit, I'll hit. If you say go in, I'll go in." At the school, the bullies were waiting at the front gate. In my previous life, I was insecure, kept my bangs long to cover half my face, and walked hunched over. Now, I tied my hair into a high ponytail, showed my whole face, and walked into school confidently. Seeing me, they gave a nasty smile and started following me from a distance of 2 or 3 meters. Far ahead, I saw a tall, lean figure striding out of a classroom building. My anxious heart calmed down instantly, and I straightened my back more firmly. As I passed the restroom area, the leader, a big guy, grabbed my shoulder. A group of them blocked the view of others and shoved me into the women's restroom. Several girls who were using the restroom saw us and ran out as if they had seen a ghost. These people were clearly sent by Mia because they asked for my black card right away. I said nothing. They snatched my backpack, pinned me down, and tried to shove my face into the toilet. Just then, Jack stormed in. He moved like a hurricane, with his long legs sweeping several bullies to the ground. He then grabbed the big guy and beat him senseless. When the guy's nose and mouth were bleeding, Jack shook his fist and said, "If any of you touch Emily again, I'll kill you. I have a medical diagnosis proving I'm crazy, so the cops won't do a thing. Get lost." Seeing the big guy's miserable state, the others turned pale and quickly dragged him away like defeated dogs. I watched in shock, feeling both bitter and stunned. So, these people only bullied the weak but feared the strong. Turns out, just $1,000 could solve the heavy storm of bullying for me. I get several $1,000s in pocket money each month, but in my past life, I was too scared and timid to ever think of resisting, letting them take all my pocket money. When we got back to the classroom, Jack, who I had paid, moved my desk to the back, next to his. Mia sat in the middle and watched this scene from afar. I could almost hear her teeth grinding in anger from that distance. Looking at Jack sleeping with his head down, I felt a sense of security like never before. I have $50,000 in cash, enough to hire him for quite some time. During English class, we got our test papers back. I didn't pass. The teacher looked at me with a dark expression. After class, a girl from the fourth row, farthest corner, came over with her head down. She seemed timid, barely daring to look at me. She stuttered, "Emily, can I help you with English? And can you let me go to the restroom with you?" Her name was Linda. She had good grades but was also a bullying target. I looked at Jack next to me, still sleeping, thought for a moment, and agreed bringing one or bringing two makes no difference. I might just have to pay Jack a bit more, treating it like hiring a private tutor. But I didn't expect that by the end of the day, I wouldn't need to pay Jack to protect me anymore. After the morning classes, on my way to the cafeteria, I was stopped by a group of crying middle-aged men and women. They apologized and pleaded for my forgiveness. When I didn't respond, two of them even knelt before me. "Emily, my daughter deserves it. It's my fault for not raising her well. Please, show some mercy. She's just starting her senior year, about to take college entrance exams next year. If she goes to jail now, her life is over. Emily, please, have mercy. Tell your dad to forgive my daughter. I'll do anything you ask." Shortly after, a professional-looking man approached me and explained the situation. I found out that the driver who dropped me off at school had overheard my phone call and recorded the bullies, reporting everything to my dad. Ignoring Jack, who was still unconscious, immediately sent people to handle the situation. The professional man was my dad's assistant. He brought top lawyers to deal with the bullies and their parents. I was taken to the principal's office, where I saw the bullies again. Their parents had beaten them up, they were now bruised and wailing on the floor. With the assistant and lawyers handling everything, I didn't need to care. Nor did I respond to the pleading parents. The assistant's phone rang, and he handed it to me. It was my dad. He was crying so hard that his voice was unrecognizable. "Daddy, Daddy is too ashamed to face you. I'm so sorry, I deserve to die. I'm not worthy." He cried until he couldn't make a sound. After a while, he spoke hoarsely. "Daddy had a dream last night, that you regretted coming back to us. You tried so hard to fit in, but we pushed you away, making you go down a path of no return. When I woke up, I just wanted to make it up to you, love you, spoil you. But I never thought that my daughter, who suffered so much for 17 years, would face such torment in this so-called prestigious school, being tortured in a living hell. We saw you getting skinnier by the day but ignored it for our so-called work. What should I do to heal my daughter's pain? I can't, I know I can't. Even if I die 1,000 times, it won't help. Don't forgive Daddy, never forgive me in this lifetime, ever." The chairman of a big corporation, crying uncontrollably in agony. I held the phone tightly and didn't speak for a long time. He offered me money, I took it. He paid for my education, I accepted. He offered a house and car, I'd take those too. But anything more, forget it. Those demons were completely expelled from the school. A while later, my dad's assistant informed me that my dad was dealing with the parents of those bullies, aiming to ruin them completely. Without the support of their parents, those bullies would be down for good. It's unclear what benefits Mia promised them, but none of them revealed Mia's involvement. Ever since my dad decided to fund the construction of several school buildings, the principal and teachers have been extra nice to me. Everywhere I go, classmates are talking about my deep connections. Not only in our class, but even in the neighboring class, students are actively trying to be friends with me and my best friend, Linda. But these friendships don't last. After a few days, they stop hanging out with us. Linda found out that someone is paying them to avoid us. The moment I heard this, I knew it was Mia. Ever since I started getting popular, Mia has been going crazy, spending money to make friends at school. Jack, after passing out that day, stayed unconscious for 3 days. When he finally woke up, he became a bit unusual, known throughout the school for skipping from freshman to senior year. Jack insisted on downgrading to sophomore year to repeat. What's more, he didn't choose the top class but opted for the regular class where Mia and I were. From the moment we got the news, our teacher and other main subject teachers were all smiles, practically floating as they walked. And Mia? She was even more elated, almost wanting to broadcast the news in the class with a loudspeaker. So before Jack even arrived, everyone already knew he was her brother. My dad had always taught us to keep a low profile, not revealing our relationships to avoid unnecessary trouble and danger. Clearly, Mia had tossed that advice out the window. Her identity as Jack's sister made her even more popular than when she was just throwing money around. Some wanted to befriend her to get tutoring from Jack. Most wanted to be her future sister-in-law because Jack wasn't just a genius, he was also insanely handsome. The school forum still buzzed with debates about him and another school heartthrob. The day Jack was to transfer to our class, some girls took spots next to Mia's seat, leaving the one next to her empty for Jack. Mia's desk was filled with colorful love letters and small gifts. When Jack first came to the school, people sent him gifts too. But he had ruthlessly thrown them all in the trash, and coupled with his fierce reputation, no one dared to give him anything after that. They would even walk around him in fear. Hearing footsteps outside the classroom, the excitement among the girls near Mia was palpable. There he was. Sharing a class with a genius in this lifetime was too exciting. Mia, he likes white, right? I wore a white dress today and got punished for over an hour for not wearing my uniform. He better notice me. Mia, I'll do your chores for a week. When your brother comes, you have to help me give him this chocolate, okay? Do you think Jack is cold? He doesn't seem to talk much at school. Mia smiled loftily. Jack just doesn't talk to strangers much. Around me, he's a chatterbox. He's always stuck to me since we were kids. So, don't tease him when he sticks to me in class. He transferred for you, didn't he? You guys have such a great sibling relationship. It's really enviable. Linda leaned closer and whispered to me, Emily, do you think Jack is really Mia's brother? I hadn't heard anything before. Emily, you have the same last name too. I kept jotting down English words as I answered, not our business, don't bother with it. But he is really handsome. Do you like guys like him, Emily? Jack, who usually just napped in class, surprisingly opened his sleepy eyes and looked at me. I shook my head firmly. Linda responded with an "oh." Jack closed his eyes again and went back to sleep. Jack walked in with the teacher. An unusual silence fell over the class. The teacher introduced Jack eagerly and told him to pick any seat, or she'd rearrange seats for him if he preferred. I looked up, my eyes meeting Jack's. He was looking right at me. Stunned, I noticed he seemed thinner, probably from being unconscious for days. His eyes were red, like he had been crying. His face still showed signs of suppressing tears. Some girls stood up to introduce themselves to Jack. With one leading, many others followed, eager to make friends with him. But Jack kept his black eyes fixed on me. He didn't look at anyone else until the teacher nudged him to speak. He finally said, I'm here for one person. I want to protect her, study with her, and go to college together. That person is my sister. The class erupted in screams, interrupting his speech. The girls around Mia were frantically hitting their desks in excitement. Mia, Jack said he transferred just for you. Mia couldn't hide her pride but tried to act modest, covering her mouth as she laughed. Seriously, I told him not to be high profile. How could he do this? It's annoying. True to form, Jack started walking towards Mia's seat. The girls' screams grew even louder. When he reached Mia's desk, she gracefully stood up and playfully scolded him. "Jack, you're such a troublemaker. Who told you to protect me? Leaving junior year for sophomore, wait till mom and dad hear this." Though playful, her voice was loud enough for the whole class to hear. However, Jack ignored her. He just moved the empty desk next to her aside and picked up a chair. Standing tall, he carried the desk on his shoulder and the chair in one hand, heading towards my seat. The girls' screams cut off abruptly, like someone had choked them. The classroom was dead silent except for the sound of Jack's footsteps. Mia stood among the seated students, like a statue. But this statue was alive, with her face changing colors dramatically. Jack placed the desk in the aisle next to mine and patted my sleeping desk-mate awake. "Hey, mind switching seats? Move your desk back one spot." "Emily is my sister," he asked politely. The shock was so intense that some classmates' eyes almost popped out. Jack woke up, not looking at Jack, but looking at me. I rejected Jack loudly. "I'm not your sister, and I won't sit with you. If you insist on sitting here, I'll change my seat." Jack's eyes reddened. "Emily, didn't you hear her say she doesn't recognize you as her brother?" Jack helped me speak, his sharp brows furrowing unfriendly. He looked fierce, like he was ready to fight. The teacher seemed afraid to offend anyone and stayed silent. Jack, with red eyes, stared at me. I kept my face cold and didn't look at him. He stood there for a while, silently moved the desk behind me, and sat down. The teacher was a math teacher. In class, the teacher assigned homework. I frowned, biting my pen, as there were several problems I couldn't solve. Before long, a piece of paper was thrown over from behind. I suspiciously opened it. It was a sheet of notepaper, neatly written with the solutions. I was inexplicably startled, feeling Jack's unusual behavior resembled my dad's recent actions. Could it be that Jack also dreamed about how I tragically died in my past life? After class, some girls wanted to ask Mia what was going on. She ignored everyone and lay on the desk, crying bitterly. The classmates exchanged looks. They looked at Mia, then Jack, then me, all having complex expressions. A shadow fell over me. It was Jack. Holding a stack of books in his clear-boned hand, he placed them on my desk, his pale face slightly red. "Emily, look at these reference books. If you don't understand something, ask me. I'll explain it to you." He put down the books and went back to his seat. I couldn't figure out Jack's intentions. Remembering his previous coldness and aloofness, I returned the books to him. Other girls, holding books, ran to Jack's desk blushing and asked him questions. Jack refused, saying he was busy. Since Mia never mentioned Jack being her brother again, some bold students, unable to hold back, cautiously asked Jack, "Jack, is Mia your sister?" Jack only replied with 2 words, "She's fake." After pausing, he added, "I only have one sister, and that's Emily." Mia cried again in the distance. Jack acted like he didn't hear and dragged a chair over to me, took a reference book, and opened it. "Emily, your previous school might have been falling behind our pace. That's why you're struggling with these books. It's okay. I'll explain it to you." I replied coldly, "No need." Jack insisted. After I rejected him, he started explaining the problems by himself next to me. Surprisingly, his explanations made even the hardest problems seem as easy as basic arithmetic. Jack, who was sleeping next to us, suddenly threw a book on the table, interrupting Jack impatiently. "Aren't you annoying? Emily said she doesn't need your tutoring. Can't you understand plain language?" Jack met his gaze fearlessly. "Even if she finds it annoying, I'll keep explaining to her. I'll accompany her until she gets into the university she wants. If you find it irritating, switch seats. No one's stopping you. Say one more word, and believe it or not, I'll hit you." Jack couldn't win the argument, so he rolled up his sleeves, acting tough. I held him back. Jack frowned. "Emily, you're not going to accept him tutoring you, are you?" I didn't respond, just took one of Jack's reference books, silently agreeing to the tutoring. Getting into college is my goal in this life, and Jack is indeed an excellent tutor. There's no harm in using his help. Jack looked at me, his eyes starting to redden again. He moved stack after stack of reference books to my desk, covering every subject. Jack scratched his head, raising an eyebrow. Then I'll join Emily in tutoring. I want to get into college too. Jack, you can't. Jack, just you wait and see. Linda, blushing, came over. Emily, I'm not good at math and physics. Can I join your tutoring sessions? Jack immediately agreed. Sure, you're Emily's good friend. I'm her brother. Of course, you can join. Linda was so happy she almost screamed the roof off the classroom. Many classmates were green with envy. Mia sulked for a few days but eventually came to Jack, looking extremely aggrieved, asking him what she did wrong and why he was embarrassing her. Jack calmly replied, I didn't embarrass anyone. If you feel embarrassed, that's your own issue and has nothing to do with me. Mia cried again. Later, she took every chance to act pitiful and asked Jack for tutoring. Jack, no time. Mia's tears fell. You have time for Emily? Jack, I'm the sister who grew up with you since childhood. She's only been here a short time. How can she compare to our bond? Jack, she's my real sister. Mia burst into tears. Fine, I'll go to Mom. I'll have her come to the school to prove that I didn't lie. Jack, I didn't lie, either. You are fake. Emily is my parents' real daughter, she's my real sister. After a monthly exam and with the holiday approaching, the school planned a celebration in the auditorium on the evening before the break, where family members could be invited. Throughout the past month, Jack had tutored me intensely. He also took on all my logistics tasks, fetching water, meals, snacks, picking up books and assignments. He fought to do everything for me. If I didn't let him, he'd get mad. As a result, I had only one focus left, studying. Hard work paid off. From being an average student, my performance in this monthly exam soared into the top 10 of the entire grade. The celebration had a segment for the top 10 to receive awards on stage. Mia was far from the top 10. After seeing her scores, she tore her paper to bits. Now she looked at me with eyes green like a poisonous snake. Unable to get on stage by merit, she signed up for a talent show. In front of the whole class, she called my mom on her phone, purposely putting it on speaker. After reporting her talent show plans, she asked my mom to prepare her costume and jewelry. She sweetly said, Mom, I want a one-of-a-kind costume and some sparkly jewelry. Is that okay? My mom, no problem, I'll get you a custom costume and a diamond necklace. Mia fake surprise, won't that be expensive? Last time we went to the auction together, a diamond necklace was 7 figures, right? This amount of money is nothing for our family. Just relax and practice well, and you'll amaze everyone at school. Thanks, Mom, I will do my best. Jack couldn't listen anymore. He ran over and forcibly ended their call. Mia yelled, What are you doing? Who are you to me? Do I even know you? How dare you touch my phone? Get lost. Ever since she kept hitting a wall with Jack, Mia didn't even bother pretending in front of him anymore. Jack stared coldly at Mia, as if meeting her for the first time, his tone freezing. I really wish I had never known you. Mia rolled her eyes and dialed another number. To everyone's surprise, this time she called her big brother, Tom, and put him on speaker. Tom was incredibly popular. His new song had just come out and was dominating all the major music charts. Half of our class had changed their ringtones to his latest hit. Mia doing this would make things unbearable for us at school. Jack, with an icy face, snatched her phone away. I warn you, don't call him. Get lost. I'm calling my brother. What business is it of yours? My brother is way better than certain ungrateful, fickle creatures. Mia opened her mouth and bit Jack's wrist, hard. In pain, Jack had to let go, and Mia got her phone back. Tom answered. Do you know whose phone call this is? Mia covered the mouthpiece and boasted, saying his name alone will scare you losers. She ran to the classroom podium and, putting on a sweet voice, said, Tom, our school is having a celebration, and I have a program. Can you come? Sorry, our parents are busy and can't make it, so I told the teacher my brother would come. Tom, it's my first time inviting you to my school. I promised the teacher you'd be there. If you can't make it, I'll be so pitiful. Jack grabbed her phone again, ended the call, and threw it back to her before storming out of the classroom with a dark expression. Everyone else looked stunned. Facing us from the podium, Mia triumphantly said, "You all look down on me, don't you? You'd rather play with that orphanage kid than look at me properly? Fine, I'll show you something big this time. Don't come begging to be friends with me later, even if you lick my toes, I won't give anyone the chance." The classmates looked at her as if she was a huge joke. On the night of the celebration, scholarship and performance students were arranged in a room to get ready. Mia was cursing silently while doing her makeup, her eyes blood-red with anger. The custom performance outfit and diamond necklace Mom promised her hadn't arrived. Not only that, Mom had gone on a business trip abroad a few days ago and hadn't been heard from in days. Some classmates recognized the brands of Mia's clothes and jewelry and realized they weren't custom as she claimed. Unable to resist mocking her, they said, "Weren't you going to show us something big? Where's the 7-figure diamond necklace? Yeah, if there were a contest for daydreaming, you'd win second place because no one would get first." Mia's face turned ashen, but she sneered through gritted teeth, "I remember you few. I hope you can still laugh like this when you see my brother." After getting ready, we joined the parents and teachers to watch the performances. We waited to go up for our awards after the programs ended. I saw Mia sneak in another call to Tom before going on stage. Sitting next to me, Jack was already dialing Tom's number. However, it showed unable to connect. Soon, Mia was on stage, and her performance ended without Tom appearing. The entrance showed no signs of commotion either. I saw Jack let out a visible sigh of relief. The host invited the top 10 students of the grade to come on stage for their awards. Jack and I were on the list. As we stood in line, Jack turned and gave me a calm, gentle smile, whispering, "Don't worry, Tom won't come. I told him earlier." I stayed silent. Whether Tom came or not mattered little to me. Only Mia was desperately hoping he'd show up. When I first joined the family, Tom was always busy, only home 2 or 3 times in the past half year. Even then, he was always catching up on sleep. Aside from Mia, who took the chance to cling to him, he barely had energy to talk to anyone else. So, even if Tom came, he'd just focus on Mia. It wouldn't affect me or my school life. However, just then, a burst of commotion erupted from the hall entrance, followed by screams. The teachers were sent to manage the chaos but failed to control it. Seeing a dazzling figure in the crowd, students on stage and below went crazy. Though wearing sunglasses, it was easy to recognize him. It was Tom, unexpectedly showing up. Truly a star, his good looks and meticulously styled appearance made him stand out, glowing as he walked in. Mia turned bright red with excitement, shrieking, "Tom's here. Move aside, he's here for me." No one could hear her. The school had never seen such a scene. Security and teachers were all summoned to manage the crowd urgently. Mia couldn't get near Tom, so she jumped onto the stage, grabbed the host's microphone, and screamed, "Tom, I'm here. Here, can you see me?" Her voice blared through the loudspeakers, silencing the chaotic hall. Everyone was shocked, astonished, and stunned. Yet Tom seemed oblivious to Mia's calls, stepping onto the stage and heading towards us award winners. In front of everyone, he approached me, hugging me tightly. Then, I heard his suppressed, low sobbing. This scene is so familiar. It's almost identical to how my dad acted before. A light bulb went off in my head. Could they be like me, reborn? Realizing this made everything make more sense. Because I am reborn. I know this feeling well. Their sudden, uncharacteristic behavior. It fits the pattern of being reborn perfectly. So, all these unusual actions, they're trying to make up for my lonely, dependent life and tragic death in the past life? But my dad said it was a dream. Did he not realize he's reborn? I was confused, my mind in a mess. In my bewilderment, I saw Tom tighten his grip on my hand and pull me to the front of the stage. Choking up, he said, "This is Emily, my sister, my most beloved sister." Trying to piece things together, I found myself in the back of a stretch Rolls-Royce. Tom and Jack were on either side of me. Tom asked if I was cold, telling the driver to adjust the temperature, first higher, then lower. Jack was at the mini fridge, grabbing drinks, asking which one I wanted. I refused everything. I said I wanted some peace. They agreed immediately, afraid to even breathe too loudly. At home, my dad had refused to go to the school ceremony. Instead, he had the chef prepare a feast and even cooked himself for the first time in over 50 years. Each cookie looked misshapen. He offered me a plate of cookies he made with both hands, asking me to try one. Before I could, our pet dog, Max, leapt up and snatched a cookie, gobbling it down. Concerned since the dog had touched them, my dad didn't let me eat the cookies. After a short while, Max started barking hysterically and running all over the house. The servants tried to stop him but couldn't. After several laps, he collapsed, convulsing and foaming at the mouth, and died. A servant shouted in horror, "Poison!" Max was poisoned. The house descended into chaos. With money, solutions come quickly. Within an hour, it was confirmed, poisoning with a massive dose of rat poison. And that rat poison was mixed into the cookies. My dad didn't do it. He wouldn't be that foolish. Moreover, no matter how inattentive he was before, he wouldn't try to poison his daughter now when he's making up for past neglect. With surveillance around the house, it was quickly revealed that Mia did it. Everyone at school was focused on the celebrity Tom, and me, his acknowledged sister. No one thought that Mia, driven mad with jealousy, would run out of the hall, take a taxi straight to our house. While my dad was in his study looking up baking times, Mia went to the kitchen, pretending to get chocolate she had stored. She sent the chef away on a pretext and emptied several packs of rat poison into the butter. Then she took another taxi to make her getaway. If not for the dog snatching the cookie, the one poisoned would have been me. My dad's face darkened as he called everyone in the house. He ordered them to find Mia. He called his company, telling them to stop working and help capture Mia. While everyone was nervously sweating for my sake, my mom, who had been away on a trip, suddenly returned. She carried an exquisite black velvet box. She looked emaciated, with several fingers bandaged as if injured. She seemed vacant, walking straight towards me. Seeing the softness in her eyes, I strongly felt that my suspicion of their rebirth might be right. Now, my mom seemed to be reborn too. My dad saw her, and his restrained anger over the poisoning burst forth. He threw a cookie laced with rat poison in front of her. "Look at your precious daughter. She poisoned Emily. If it weren't for the dog, your own daughter would be dead now. I swear, when I catch her, I won't let her off young and already poisoning people. She's a scourge." My mom stiffened but showed no emotion, her gaze still vacant. She resumed walking towards me, opened the velvet box, revealing a beautifully crafted diamond necklace. Even though the sun had set and the house was unlit, the diamond gleamed brilliantly. My dad must have heard Mia demanding the necklace from her and got even angrier. "That little poisoner, and you made her a necklace. Fine, I'll use it to strangle her myself." My mom seemed to lose all senses. As my dad raged, she showed no reaction until she reached me, standing still before putting the necklace on me. I looked at her coldly, unmoving. Her hands trembled, taking a while to fasten it around my neck. Then she gazed at me, a long, near-obsessive look. My dad's phone rang. He answered and exploded once more. "Find her. Find that wretch and bring her back," he yelled, staggering. Tom and Jack went to support him. Steadying himself, my dad took a few strides to my mom, replaying a recording his assistant just sent. It was one of the bullies, finally confessing after relentless questioning at the juvenile detention center, implicating Mia. She admitted Mia paid them and even encouraged them to kill me quietly for more money. Listening to the recording, my dad, Tom, and Jack's eyes turned blood red, fists clenching tightly. My dad glared at my mom. "Did you hear that? Do you know what your daughter's life at school was like? Beaten, cursed, almost killed, and you still coddled that ungrateful scoundrel. You think making a necklace for Emily now can make up for your sins? You gave birth to her, but you didn't raise her. Not only that, you protected the ungrateful person who bullied your own daughter. As he kept yelling, he bent over in pain, squatted down, and cried out loud, "It's not just you, we're all guilty. None of us deserve to be Emily's family. Emily was right, she shouldn't have come back with us. We're not her family, we're all executioners. We're the ones who killed our own daughter." Tom and Jack lowered their heads, crying uncontrollably. In the huge dining room, there were only two people not crying, my mom and me. I looked at them coldly, listening to them tear open the wounds I had experienced in my past life once again. I felt intense pain, but there were no tears. All my tears had already been shed in my past life. My mom still stared at me blankly, motionless, almost in a trance. Finally, as I was about to turn and leave that suffocating room, I heard my mom retch. I turned my head and saw her spit out a mouthful of blood. She continued spitting blood several times. Then she collapsed. My dad and the others practically scoured the entire city. After the new year, they found Mia in a remote and filthy black market clinic. She had contracted some filthy disease and had deteriorated beyond recognition, seeking treatment at the black market clinic. When my father heard the news, he rushed over first. I followed. My dad, who never hit women, slapped her several times as soon as he got there, causing her face to swell dramatically. Mia screamed, "Why are you hitting me? Why? Wasn't I your beloved princess? What did I do wrong? Why did you bring Emily back? She should have died out there. Why did you bring her back to share everything with me? We raised you like our own daughter, gave you the best food and clothing, but you got people to bully my daughter and even tried to poison her. And you still ask why? Where's your conscience?" The more my dad spoke, the angrier he got. He picked up a nearby broom and hit her hard. Mia screamed and passed out. My dad wanted to collect evidence to send her to jail, just like the other bullies. But before he could gather everything, Mia died. Her body was so rotten from the disease that it stank for miles around, and the whole street cursed her. My mom's condition fluctuated. When she was okay, she did two things: either stared at me or my pictures all day, or stayed in her workshop constantly making jewelry for me. Even when her fingers were covered in injuries, she continued. She couldn't hear anyone who called to stop her, and if we forced her to stop, she'd faint again. When she was unconscious, she kept murmuring two sentences over and over: "Mia, you're inhuman. Emily, my daughter." I used my dad's money to transfer to a university in a city thousands of miles away. I didn't let anyone see me off. I didn't let anyone visit me. They were all very careful around me. When I said no, none of them dared to disturb my life. I accepted the shares of the company they gave me and the money they sent. Jack was the only one who insisted on staying with me. I went to college, started working, and doing business. Jack was always by my side. With my earnings and the money from the family, apart from my living expenses, I opened welfare homes in every city I visited, adopting countless orphan children. I did my best to give them the love they deserved as human beings. There was an unchanging rule in my welfare homes: whether adopted or taken back by their biological parents, if any child faced grievances in their new family, if they couldn't stay and wanted to come back, the welfare home would unconditionally take them back as soon as they said the word. Eventually, Jack and I got married, had kids, and built our own family. I never saw anyone from my original family again. Even though Tom became a celebrity for decades, I only ever saw him on screen, never in real life. Years later, a lawyer came to me, asking me to sign for numerous stocks, shares, and fixed assets. That's when I found out that my dad and mom had both passed away. On their deathbeds, they left everything to me.